Good evening, everyone. Welcome to class again.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
So, good evening. Good evening, everybody. So, tonight we are going to start a new topic, which is working capital management. In the past week, we've been looking at investment appraisal. We talked about investment appraisal, looking at inflation, looking at taxation, also looking at how to treat the issue of working capital, tax savings, tax allowance, and the rest of it. So in case you miss the class, you can access the recordings on the platform and likewise on the YouTube channel. And you can get the slides too on the platform. Some of those slides is good to write them out in your notebook. And as you write, writing is also a way of reading. Yes. So they'll help in a great way. Likewise. So we'll be talking about working capital. It's also a very wide topic. Yes, because the syllabus wants us to look at each element of the working capital. So we introduce the topic today and saw one or two examples. Then the next class we'll pick one of the elements of working capital and analyze and see what they want us to know about it. So talking about working capital, this is not a new concept to us. Once you're an accounting student, you'll be used to some of these terms over time. But what they want us to do at this point is to look at it comprehensively, not just the aspect of the ratios, we did look at them, but to analyze each of the variables of working capital one after the other. So when we talk about working capital, I believe what most of us know is that working capital is the difference between what current assets and current liabilities. Yes, that is working capital when you want to use the formula to solve it. It's current asset less current liability. Some students often confuse working capital with current ratio. Current ratio is current asset divided by current liability. So when we talk about working capital can be defined as the capital that is available for the day-to-day operations of a business. The day-to-day operation of a business. While we're talking about investment appraisal, I explained what working capital is. Likewise, that it's a capital that is introduced at the beginning of the business, and when the business is winding up, it is recouped back as an inflow at the end of the business lifespan, and as at year zero is an outflow. At the end of the business lifespan, it becomes an inflow. So this working capital, it is the excess of current assets over current liabilities. The excess of current assets over current liability. And I would say that working capital can be described as the financial will of a business. The financial will of the business. It is on the premise of working capital that the business is running. So working capital, it indicates the ability of a business to go through bad financial storm. When your working capital is weak or negative, it means you won't be able to meet up with your short-term obligations. So the concept of working capital emphasizes the liquidity objective of a business. So working capital is telling you that what is your cash policy, or what is your liquidity policy as an organization? How much liquidity do you always want to have? It means you must strike a balance in terms of liquidity, because there will be a point whereby you hold too much money. As financial analysts will tell you that you are tying too much cash down. This cash you have, you can reinvest them into more profitable ventures rather than keeping them too much. So as we go ahead in our study, we'll be seeing how to strike a balance in order for us not to have too much cash and to be at the middle. So maintaining adequate working capital is important, both for short and long-term survival of a business, because sufficient liquidity must be maintained, because the most profitable company may find itself in a troubled water. You might be profitable based on the face value of your financial statement, but in terms of cash flow, you are deficient. And that is why some analysts don't work with the profit figure shown in the on the face value of the financial statement. They want to analyze your cash inflow and cash outflow. So when we talk about working capital, it is simply the amount of fund available for day-to-day operation of a business. That is working capital, and it can be determined as what? Current asset less current liability. Current assets less current liability. Now, that is working capital on its own. Now, if you look at the topic, it is termed as what? Working capital management. The question is, why do we need to manage our working capital? Why do we need to manage our working capital? Now, the essence of management is that when you have a proper policy in your organization on how to manage your working capital, the management policy should be focused on how the business will have sufficient liquid resources for its day-to-day operation. And this management policy must involve striking a balance between the requirements to minimize the risk of insolvency and the requirements to maximize the return on assets. So a clear policy must be in place for the management of each component of working capital. At this point, I want to ask, what are those components of working capital? What are those components of working capital? Yes, can I get a response? What are the components of working capital?
Hello, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, sir. Inventory is part of working capital. Cash,
Okay,
Direct material, direct
and
labor.
okay,
receivables, payables,
okay,
etc.
okay, okay. Somebody was saying direct material, direct labor. Who is the person?
So I'm the one, oh, I'm just trying. No, I don't know if.
Is it Madam
And,
Christel? Is that Madam Choma?
okay.
No, sir, it's Chinedu.
Chinedu. Okay, the voice sounds like Choma. All right. I'm saying Christiana. Yes. Okay.
Yes, my other name is Christiana too.
All right. So the components of working capital, just as Madam Agbola have said, there are inventory, that is your closing inventory, your receivables, your cash, even your creditors, your debtors. They are the components of working capital. So on your cash book, on your statement of financial position, that is your balance sheet. Those items of current assets and current liability constitutes items of working capital. Items of working capital. So the difference between your current assets and your current liability will give you your working capital. So the objective of working capital, is to ensure that a business has sufficient liquid resources to continue its business. By the time you don't have cash to run your business day in, day out, it means your business is not healthy. Your business is not healthy. So the objective of working capital is to see that a business can have cash for its day-to-day business operation. And beyond availability of cash is that there should be increase in the business profitability. So the two main objectives, I will say, of working capital is to ensure that a business has sufficient liquid resources to continue in business and also to increase its profitability. So these are the major objective of working capital. Now, when we talk about the management, let me go back to the management of working capital. The management of working capital. Now, every organization will have policies. Some organizations have policies about their inventory. Some organizations have policy about how they handle their creditors, have policies about how they handle their debtors. Some organizations have policy on how they handle their work in progress. Yes, their work in progress. So management decision on working capital is very important. So the management of the various components of the working capital involves an organization determining certain level at which the controllable ones should be maintained. For example, some organizations have a reorder level for their stock. Once the stock is, let's say, getting to 500 in the store, it shows that there is a need for restocking. So they have a buffer level. And when we talk about issues of economic order quantity, we'll be seeing that. So there should be a policy to see that there is a balance between the stock in the warehouse and the stock going out. So this is very important, and this can be achieved when a business organization sets clear policy that will support its operation in order for it to achieve its overall business objective, which will be profit maximization. So I want to ask a question again. When a business is not having adequate working capital, what are the effects? What will be the resultant effect on the business operation based on what I've explained? When the business is short of working capital, what will be the effect on the organization. And I need like four points now.
Hello, sir.
Yes, ma.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, ma.
So when a business is not having enough working capital, it can go bankrupt or insolvency.
All right, very good. Yes, can go bankrupt and result in a state of insolvency.
Okay. The
Yes,
company might be forced to shut down.
yes, might be called to shut down. Yes, when there is no finance for day-to-day operation. Yes, 2 more to go.
There will be cash flow problem. Then
Yes, there will be cash.
as a result of that, they will be they will have inability for them to pay their bills.
Yes, yes, there will be cash traps. Yes, and they'll not be able to meet up with their
Of major
obligations.
customers.
Sorry, can you come again?
I said no, they will lose their major customers.
Okay, they will lose their major customers in terms of, is it their suppliers?
Yes, sir.
Fine, I
Suppliers,
want you to be
they will not pay back on time when suppliers
Yes,
provide materials.
very good. Yes. So when we have inadequate working capital, one of the effects is also from, in addition to what you stated, is that there will be stagnation in terms of growth of the business. There will be stagnation in terms of growth of the business. So when there is stagnation, it will make it difficult for the company to undertake profitable projects. And another one is that opportunities to invest in attractive short-term ventures will be lost when there's an opportunity for you to make use of fund to meet up with an opportunity that just surfaced, and you just need immediate cash to ensure that this opportunity does not pass you by. But because you are short of fund, you'll not be able to harness that. And also, when there is inadequate working capital management, operating plan budget becomes difficult to implement, and your targeted income might not be achieved, because even the short-term finance you need to make sure that there's a return is not available for you to run your business. So the company may lose its reputation likewise by its failure to fulfill short-term obligation, just as we've said, and when you can't pay your suppliers on time, you lose reputation. The business begin to experience financial embarrassment. Yes, because it can't meet up with its short-term obligation as they've agreed with their suppliers and other business partners. So let's now look at it in another way. When there is excess work, all right.
So the workers in the company will disengage because there's no money for their salaries. They can't pay them.
Yes. So when there is no money, when they didn't pay some of us for 1 month, you know how we grumble. So once there is no money to pay the workers, there is no energy to work. So it is the money, the salaries, the wages that is a motivating factor. Please, can you all hear me, please?
Sir, did you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm already laying emphasis on what you said, ma. I think there is the transmission to your location is very slow. So I'm already
Okay. I didn't hear you.
repeating what you
Mm.
what you said. Yes. So
Okay.
that's when there is no finance to pay the workers as at when due, the workers will speak ill of the organization. Yes, to the people around the community, and they'll begin to withdraw their service. Yes, so there will be high workers turnover because as they are not being paid for service rendered, they tend to look elsewhere to vent for their to source for their means of livelihood. Yes, thank you for that. So you can look at it in another way. Effect of excess working capital. When we have excess working capital, what do you think might be the effect? The effect of that to an organization. Effects of that to an organization.
Okay, so there will be, let's say, the profitability of the company will be reduced because there will be tied up capitals, like tied up funds that are not used for operation or investments. So thereby reducing the profitability of the company.
Yes, that is very good, sir. So because by the time you keep too much cash and you are not using them, the profit you're expected to get on those cash you are tying down will not come. But as you turn over those cash, you put them into use, they yield more returns. It will help the business to grow more. So, what are other effects of excessive working capital?
Wrong spending. You'll be spending the money anyhow because you have too much money.
You're spending the money anyhow. Okay.
Wastage of material.
Okay, wastage of material.
Hello,
Yes,
sir.
all right, ma.
I think for the positive effect, the business will be credit worthy. That they will have the suppliers will trust them to give them more of their products or goods.
Yes, that is when you are looking at their financial statement to evaluate if they are credit worthy. Yes, to know if it is worthwhile to grant them credit. Yes, we'll come to all those things. Yeah, very soon. Yes.
Now
So,
let
but we
me
are
try.
looking at. All right, ma.
So I don't know, maybe it is over trading. I don't know.
Yes, over trading. Yes, is part of it, ma. Yeah, that is we'll come to all those things one after the other. Issue of over trading and over capitalization. I think I have them in this slide likewise. Yes, when you are over trading. But since you mentioned over trading, what is over trading? Let's know if it is in tandem with what is over trading? All right. I'm still coming back to my question, but let me talk about over trading since okay, Praise, what is over trading in case you want to respond to that?
Okay. Overtrading is when an organization is using more than what it has.
Okay. Yes. That is where an organization or a company attempts to conduct a larger volume of trade than it is financially equipped to do. When you are trying to do beyond what you can, you have the capacity to do, it means you are over trading. So a company is said to be over trading when it tries to do too much too quickly with little financial resources at its disposal. That is over trading. Over trading. So take note of
Sir,
that.
please, can you come again?
I said over trading is a situation where a company attempts to conduct a larger volume of trade than its, let me see it, I have it here. A larger volume of trade than it is financially equipped to do. Okay. It's in my other slide. Than it is financially equipped to do. That when you're trying to do too much than what you have. Yes. When you are not working within what you can afford, you are working beyond your budget. That is over trading. So with respect, let me go back to what we're saying. Yes, Madam Ineka, you want to say something?
Yes, sir. Sir, so I just wanted to answer the question you asked initially.
Yes, still speak to it, ma'am.
Okay,
Still
so
ask
it
the
leads
question.
to excess material that you might not need at that time. Like you'll be like tying down some materials, and it will lead to wastage of materials.
Yes. So when we have excessive working capital, it is an indication of a defective credit policy. What do I mean by that? It means that the credit policy in terms of debtors collection period is weak. If you're a business owner, what you should do, the concept is you should work in a way whereby your debt collection period will be low, but your credit, your payables will be high, because it's better you collect your money fast. It's a business concept anyway, but relatively see how you hold your creditors' money and use it for business, but don't hold it too much. If not, you lose your reputation also. So that is what some people do. You understand? So it's better I collect my money very fast and use it more for more turnover, and slightly delay the payment of my supplier so that I can still have money to run my business. But even as I'm stylishly holding their money, I should be reasonable enough to pay them, even when it is due. The fact that they are giving me credit means that they are still giving me grace, that I can use their money to run my business. And when it is time for me to pay back, I should quickly pay back so that I can keep enjoying that policy. But by the time I fail, it means that I will not keep enjoying such policies. So when we have excessive working capital, as we have said, business will lose profit, and it may result into what we call bad debt, high bad debt, because one of the components of working capital is debtors. So when you have large figure for debtors, be sure that to recover those money might not be 100%. So it's better you put up a credit policy that you be on the neck of those debtors. You keep sending messages to see that the debtors collection period is, sorry, let me respond to the person saying I should admit. The meeting is open. I'm not admitting anybody today. So everybody can join without anybody admitting. I don't want distraction. That is why I make it open. So when you have too much debt, there is possibility of bad debt. And when you experience high bad debt, it means you are losing what? Profit. You're losing profit. So, and when you have excessive working capital, it may result in what? It may result in what? Build up of inventory. When you have too much stock in your warehouse, what are the costs associated with keeping inventory in your warehouse? Insurance. Insurance cost is part of cost of trying to keep goods in your warehouse. So when you have too much inventory in your warehouse, it can result into high holding costs. Holding costs. Yes, high holding costs. And it can result into what? Into deterioration. It can result into obsolescence. That is, goods becoming out of age. Yes, goods will become to there'll be aging of goods. Yes, in your store. Expiry, high expiry products, and the rest of them. And it can result in mishandling of products. So when you have too much of these, and you keep too much of these, there are some negative effects. These are some of the negative effects that might come up. Now, when we talk about working capital, the concept of working capital varies based on businesses. It varies. Now, there are certain factors affecting the component of working capital based on the business line you find yourself. So, the components or the factors affecting working capital. What are some of the factors I think can affect working capital? One, I would say availability of investment opportunities. When there are quite a number of investment opportunities around me, why should I keep too much cash? I should put them into profitable ventures that will yield more returns to me. So the sector you choose, the niche of business you choose, will determine how you manage your working capital. How you manage your working capital. And also, the management of working capital can be affected by the relationship between a company and its suppliers, a company and its customers. So when I know that this customer is credit worthy, I will be glad to grant this customer credit. But when I know this customer is not credit worthy, is recalcitrant, it shows that very stubborn, the customer might not enjoy such credit benefits, such credit policy that the organization have put into place. So the relationship between the company and the supplier can determine the nature of the working capital an organization is maintaining. And also, some organizations have different financial management style. Some organizations are solely financed by equity. Some organizations are financed based on the mix of equity and debt. So the financial management style is very important. It determines also their working capital and their capability in trying to see how they meet up and they grow in the business. So the nature of the industry and the business in which an organization finds itself. Some organization, to access raw material is very easy. To access labor is very easy. Some organization, the cost of running the day-to-day business is very high. So depending, all these factors are factors that affect the working capital, So when we talk about working capital is a function of liquidity. Liquidity. And that is why when we were talking about the effect of inadequate working capital, somebody mentioned what? Insolvency. Yes. So working capital is a function of liquidity. So when you're calculating liquid ratio, or you're trying to determine working capital ratios, one of the ratio we look at is what? We look at issue of current ratio. Current ratio. And for you to determine current ratio, the concept of current ratio is what? Your current assets divided by what? Current liability. Current assets divided by what? Current liability. And the standard is what? 2:1. That your current asset should be twice your current liability. So also talking about ratio, still ratio now, you can have the issue of quick ratio or acid test ratio. Quick ratio or acid test ratio. For you to measure quick ratio, what do you need to do? It is your current assets less what? Your inventories divided by what? Your current liability. So the ideal ratio for quick ratio is 1:1. 1:1. So it means that I should have sufficient current asset that can offset my current liability at a particular point in time. So that is based on the working capital ratio. Now, let me go back to the main business of today. The concept of working capital management. In talking about working capital management, there is what we call management of working capital cycle. Management of working capital cycle. Management of working capital cycle. When we talk about working capital cycle, what are we referring to? Working capital cycle.
Okay, sir.
Right on,
Talking
please.
about working capital, it is the period which money goes out. That's the outflow of an organization and the period in which they collect it. That is when they invest or when they go into a business, the process by which they collect back their fund. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Sir, can I try?
Okay, can I try?
Yes,
Hello,
Mr.
sir.
Friday.
Okay, I think it is a period between when a company holds its inventory and when they collect their debts, and also when they pay their suppliers too. So it's just a period between when the company collects its debts from debtors, and when they pay their suppliers, that is the creditors, and then when the number of period the inventory they hold their inventory in stock.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes. Madam Macaulay, you want to add to that?
Yes, sir. That's what I wanted to say. It's the period of the payable period and the receivable, then the inventory holding period. That is the cycle. How many
Okay.
days is it taking them to sell and collect back the money? How many days have they bought material and they are able to pay back the money? Then how
All right.
long are they holding inventory in the stock?
All right. Yes. Thank you very much for those beautiful contributions. So the working capital cycle, as you've said, this describe the length of time between when cash is paid to acquire raw materials and when cash is finally received from debtors through sales. So it is the length of time between the company's outlay on raw materials, wages, and other expenditures, and the inflow of cash from the sales of goods. So the point is this, that the longer the cycle, the longer capital is tying up without earning a return on it. So if I should give longer credit period to my customer, it means my money is staying outside and is not available for me to use to make more return to the business. And that is not good for the financial health of a business. So one thing organization must do is that they must strive to reduce their working capital cycle by collecting receivables quicker, or if possible, delay accounts payable. I've said that before. So you may see how you collect your money from your debtors and see how you delay payments to your creditors. So this working capital cycle, now you need cash to buy raw materials. When you use your cash to buy your raw materials, you convert your raw materials to what? To finished goods. Your finished goods move in form of what? Sales. And the sales can be in form of what? Credit sales. And that will result to bring in debtors. Now, when debtors pay back the money revolves back to what? To cash. So this working capital cycle, you can link it that cash leads to raw materials lead to work in progress lead to what? Finished goods leads to what? Receivables, in that order. And this raw material, likewise, it can be obtained on credit from your creditors. Then you have payables. So the point is this: what organizations usually do is that they establish policies and guidelines on how they can effectively manage working capital. So the policy of managing working capital is to see that current assets such as cash and cash equivalent, inventories and receivables, and short-term financing are maintained, to see that there is adequate inflow and outflow that will be generally acceptable and favorable to the day-to-day running of the business. So the working capital of a business is the length of time between the payment of raw material, entering into stock, and the receipt of proceed from sale. So the objective of any good management is to maximize what? The length of the operating cycle. Is to maximize the length of the operating cycle such that the investment in working capital is reduced to the barest minimum. That should be the objective of a good management in an organization. Yes, Faith.
Yes, sir. Sir, sorry, you were fast. I was writing. So I want to get just that part, that working capital management is the length of time between when cash is paid. That's where I stopped. I didn't get it. If you can please help me take it again. Just that part.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Okay. The working capital. Working capital, I said, is the length of time between payment of raw material, entering into stock, and receipt of proceed from sale. Now, the point is, how do we determine the operating cycle? How do we determine the operating cycle? We need to show some computation, some formulas on how we determine the operating cycle. Now, in terms of raw material, how do you compute your days, your number of days? Yes, in terms of raw material, in terms of your creditors payment period, how do you compute the number of days an organization is giving or is getting from its creditors? In terms of period of production, that is work in progress, how long does it take to work on this, to transform these goods, or to hold stock in form of work in progress? In terms of finished goods, how long does it take for the finished good to be transformed? In terms of debtors collection period, how long does it take? So we're going to, let me just write some formulas, even though some of you might be used to those formulas. For those of you doing FR, when you are doing your ratios, some of these ratio are what you always see when you are trying to compute your ratios. Well, let's see some of them, then we'll pick an example to solve. So from the slide, this is working capital, your current assets less what? Your current liabilities. Your current asset less your current liability. If you look at the ICANN study pack, you discover that there is no much difference between what is being discussed in PM and in financial management with regards to this. As a matter of fact, I think some of the literatures in the financial management pack regarding this topic was lifted from the performance management study test. So, and also there's an aspect of investment appraisal we're still going to talk about later, which is risk and uncertainty. Is a topic that's overlap between PM and FM likewise. So when we come there, we'll just do it together with PM. So we won't have to waste our time as much. So the operating cycle, let me write. The operating, please follow the formulas so that when we present a question, we'll not have issue. The operating cycle is determined as follows. The operating cycle is determined as follows.
Hello, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Should we call it the operating cycle or working capital cycle?
Whichever one is fine, ma'am. Whichever one is fine. Can be used interchangeably. So we can have, let me say A. We can have, let's say, raw material turnover. Raw material turnover. Raw material turnover. Raw material turnover. Now, for you to determine the raw material turnover in days, what will be the variables to look out for in a question? What will be the variables to look out for in a question? So, in a question where you have your opening raw material and your closing raw material, for you to get the average, what will you do?
Addition of the opening and closing divided by 2. The addition of opening plus closing.
So where you have opening and closing in the question in terms of raw material, for you to get the average is for you to add the opening and closing divided by 2. But where the closing is not given, you use the opening as the average. Where one of the variables are not given, you use the one given as the average. But on general note, for you to determine your raw material turnover, it will be what? It will be your average raw material inventory or stock to be your average raw material inventory or stock don't be scared, though. You are not solving quadratic equation. You just want to use the, some people see this kind of formula now. We have it as average raw material stock or inventory. Take notes. So many stories in literatures. Average raw material inventory divided by what? Divide by purchases. Purchases per annum. Divided by purchases per annum. So raw material turnover multiply by what? 365 days. 365 days. What is this raw material turnover telling us? Can anybody speak to it? Raw material turnover. What are we trying to determine? Anybody?
Let me try. I think it probably is referring to how often we buy raw materials, or how often raw materials are turned to finished goods, something like that.
All right.
Zach, can I try?
Yes, very well.
I think, I don't know. I'm thinking is when raw material, we have lack of raw material. There is low raw material.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes. Yes, Madam Chuma.
Hello. Hello, sir.
Yes, I can hear you, ma'am.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I can hear you, ma'am.
Okay, it's talking about the number of times that raw material are used or consumed during the production time.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, everybody. Yes. So these raw material turnover, just as you all said, that it shows how many times materials are issued for production purpose. Now, the question we should ask ourselves, what will be the interpretation of this, of our results? When we have a higher turnover, it will indicate what? Efficient usage. While a lower turnover will show what? That we are overstocking our raw material. It will show that there is slow consumption of our finished product. So a higher turnover shows what? Efficient inventory management and minimal wastage. While a low turnover will show that what? We have excess stock in our warehouse, and it shows that there is poor planning, and invariably we can also say that there is production inefficiency. So one thing with this raw material turnover is that it helps to control inventory costs, and the outcome will aid in production planning, and overall it will help to improve our working capital management. So for you to determine your raw material turnover, it is your average raw material inventory divided by what? Purchase per annum. Purchases per annum. Take note of this. So when you see question, the per annum, they can change it to the annual. Take note. So depending on how the words are being used in the question. So another issue we can look at as it regards to the operating cycle or working capital cycle is the issue of creditors payment period. Creditors payment period. Yes, Madam Chuma. Okay. So we can look at the issue of creditors payment period. That is the B. Creditors payment period. I can say average. When we tell you average payable period, the same thing. Average creditors payment period. Our formula will be what? We'll have it as it will be Mr. Friday, I think your audio is causing reverberation. So the average creditors payment period, our formula will be what? It will be the average creditors. Another word for creditors, I said, is payable. Is average creditors divided by what? The purchases. The purchases per annum. Purchases per annum. Purchases per annum. All these we multiply by what? $365 days. Multiply by 365 days. We can look at the issue of work in progress likewise. That is period of production with particular reference to work in progress. Or we can say production cycle. Production cycle. production cycle, that is period of production or work in progress. So for you to determine the period of production, that is work in progress, what will you do? What will be your formula? Formula will be what? Start that as C. Can have period of production brackets, we have it as work in progress. Because the question can ask you to compute this. So the formula will be what? You can have it as average average work in progress divided by what? Cost of production divided by cost of production divided by cost of production. Another word for cost of production is what? Another word for cost of production is what?
Prime cost.
Okay. In a question where you are not giving cost of production, it can be cost of sales. It can be cost of sales. Cost of sales. Where the question is looking at production cycle, they can give you your average work in progress, and you are not giving cost of production. It can be cost of sales. When you do this, it will be multiplied by what? 365 days. 365 days. What else can we look out for? We can have finished goods turnover or period of turnover. We can have finished goods turnover or period of turnover. State period of turnover. Period of turnover. Let's have it as finished goods. Finished goods. What will be our formula based on what we've been solving above or what we've been showing above?
Average finished good all over cost of sales times 365 days.
Okay. It will be that is average finished goods divided by what? Cost of sales. Cost of sales. Cost of sales per annum. Multiply by what? 365 days. 365 days. What else can we look out for?
Debtors payment period.
Okay, fine. Debtors payment period. We can look out for average brackets. I would say debtors Is it debtors payment or collection?
Collection.
When it is debtors, you collect. When it is your creditors, you do what? You pay them. So we can now have it as average debtors collection period. Now formula will be what? Any trial?
Average trade receivable all over sales per annum times 365 days. I don't know.
No, you should know.
That's my trial, Sha.
So we'll now have it as average. It's same with what you said. Average debtors or collection period. Yes. Average debtors divide by what? Divide by your credit sales per annum. Or credit sales per annum. Where credit sales is not given, you use your normal sales. Yes, your sales value, where it is not categorically stated as credit sales, you use normal sales value. Yes, as the credit sales. But where it is, some questions will make it more comprehensive and they will break the question down, they will split it. So I'm trying to test your understanding. But where you are not giving credit sales directly, you use the sales value given in the question as the credit sales. So you can have it divided by what? Per annum. Operating cycle will be equal to what? All values of your current assets, all the outcome of your current assets, less what? The outcome of what? Your current liability. Now, looking at this, raw material turnover is an item of what? Current assets, isn't it? I will say A plus average creditors payment period is an item of what?
Liabilities.
Liabilities.
Fine, liability, fine. Liability. What do you think will happen to that?
Minus.
You minus. Fine, let's go and minus it at the last point so that we'll have collections of items of the current asset in one place. Then we just less. So the operating cycle will be A. C, period of production, work in progress, is an item of what?
Current asset.
Current assets. Plus period of turnover, finished goods, is an item of what?
Current asset.
Current assets. Average debtors collection period is an item of what?
Current asset.
Current assets.
Then minus our B, which is the item of current liability. When you do this in terms of days, you get your operating cycle, working capital cycle, or your operating cycle. Is this clear, please?
No,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
No, I'm not clear, sir. Please recap.
At the beginning of this class, we made it clear that working capital is what? Current assets less what? Current liability. Now, taking it
Current liabilities.
further,
Yeah.
when you are trying to determine your operating cycle, which is how long will it take for you to hold your stock, to collect your money from your debtors, to pay your creditors, using the operating cycle, we come up with all these formulas to determine the days, the period to take for us to sell our goods, for us to pay our creditors, for us to collect our money from our debtors. Now, when you determine the values, for you to determine the operating cycle within the particular period, we now say all items, all outcomes of our current assets, you add them together, let the item of what? Of the current liability. Madam Costly, raw material turnover is an item of what?
Current asset.
Fine. Average creditors payment period is an item of what?
Current liabilities.
Fine. Period of production in terms of work in progress is an item of what?
Current asset.
Fine. Period of turnover of finished goods is an item of what?
Current asset.
Average debtors collection period is an item of what?
Collection is current asset.
Fine. All variables of current assets, which is A, C, D, and E, you add them together, minus the
Liability.
variable of what? Of your current liability. You get your operating cycle.
Okay.
Example.
Fine, sir.
Example.
Are you asking me?
No. For example, you can see this. This also is a way you can get your cash operating cycle. You can see it. Average inventory holding period plus average trade receivable collection period. And you add, these are items of what? Of current assets. Now, less average period of credit taken from suppliers. This is an item of current liability. When you minus, you have your operating cycle. To buttress what we've been saying. So this is an example. This is an example.
Sir, sorry, can you please go back? Let me screenshot it.
So some questions, we give you variables in week, days, months, year. Once you are giving, you check. It's not every time they will tell you, they'll give you in years. So once they give you in weeks, you work based on weeks. How many weeks do we have in a year?
52 weeks.
Fine. Once they give you in weeks, you work based on weeks. Don't get confused and say, no, now only this, they talk. It can come in weeks. You understand? It can come in days, it can come in months. So you work based on what is being given to you, still applying the concept that you know. So once you see something different a little, don't easily get confused. Put your feet on ground and see what you can do.
Sir, please,
So,
can you go back to that slide? Let me screenshot it. The formula, the one we just finished. Not that one, the other one.
it's good you
Yeah.
screenshot it so that because the example I'm bringing now, you're the one that will teach me how to solve it.
This one.
Screenshot it.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
So let's see what to do now with this question. So this is an example. Extracts from the statement of financial position, that is balance sheets, and income statements of a company are set out below. Inventories, raw material, 864,000, work in progress, 148,128,000, finished goods, 1,567,893, trade receivables, 1,425,600, trade payables, 604,800, annual purchases, 1,745,000, annual cost of sales, 5,272,128, annual sales, 5,802,400, required. Calculate the length of the cash operating cycle for the company. So what are we going to do? When you see this in the exam hall, tell me, what will you do? Don't put your hand on your head and say these people have come again. So I need 3 persons to tell me what to do. Madam Ruth, are you in this class? Let me see those in this class. Mr. Udu, hope you are at home, sir.
Yeah, I'm with you today.
Okay. All right.
I thought we would start with that raw material turnover now.
Okay. Yes, you can guide us, sir. Raw material turnover.
Mike. Raw material turnover, you told us there we should first of all look for the average raw material inventory now.
Yes, very good, sir. Yes.
Where the opening stock and the closing stock we are given, we add it and divide by
Sorry,
two.
sir, I'm not seeing the question.
Right on, sir. Right on, sir. I'm with you.
You said for that raw material turnover, that should be the first one to calculate now. Then we will look for the average raw material inventory over the all over purchases per annum. So for us to get the average raw material, we add the opening and the closing and divide by 2 to get the average.
Fine. So in this question now, Madam Blessing, can you see the question now?
Yes, sir.
All right, fine. So in this question now, do we have opening and closing raw material?
No.
So we are to use the
What we
value,
have.
what we have. Fine.
Get what you want.
Good. Now, your annual material purchase will now be what? On the question.
1,745,000.
Yes. 1,745,000. 1,745,000. That is purchases. Now, these purchases, it can have a link in 2 ways. You are obtaining your raw material from your creditors. Now, when you are calculating your amount to pay to your creditors, you also use that value likewise. So, but let's look at the issue of raw material first, just as we've been guided that to solve this, we have it. That is determination of cash operating cycle. Of cash operating cycle. Determination of cash operating cycle. Can have it our details can have days. Now, first, the raw material turnover. Raw material turnover. The formula is what? Based on what we have now, what are we going to do? Average
Raw material inventory.
yes, average raw material.
Purchase over annual purchase.
Average raw material inventory divided by what?
Annual purchase.
The annual purchase. Or we can say annual material purchase. Annual. All these will be multiplied by what?
365 days.
Multiplied by 365 days. Multiply by 365 days. Please take note. You have the formulas already multiplied by 365 days. All you have will be multiplied by 365 days. I don't have time to do the formula in a very pleasant way. You have the formulas already. So based on the question, your average raw material will be what?
Open the question, sir. $864,000. 864,000.
864,000. $864,000. The annual material purchase is what? This is it. Annual purchases.
1.745.
1,745,000. 1,745,000. Multiply by what?
365 days.
Multiply by 365 days.
181 days.
So it will be 181 days. Who is not getting 181? Everybody is getting 181. So that when I give assignments, you will not give me another thing. Or if I'm not even solving the assignments. If I give assignment, only 2 to 3 persons we solve. And I know the 3 persons that I used to solve. They are always consistent. Yes, they are always consistent. So try and solve assignments. Even me, I'm very busy. Some of you say you are busy. I'm very much busy than you. Yes, so, but still, I don't like missing classes. So, it's not that I'm free. I'm free like that. So please solve assignments. That is what will make you pass. So there is no two ways about it. When you solve those assignments, that is when you will pass. So you might not have time now, but don't procrastinate for too long. The exam is here already. Don't procrastinate. Yes. So I understand many of you are busy, but still, if you want the expected outcome, give it what it requires. Yes. So now The next is for us to compute what? What can we compute again? Looking at this question.
Period of
What in-
production.
Very good. The production cycle. Yes. We can compute the period of production, the work in progress. We can compute the production cycle. That is work in progress.
Mr. Tokwe, sorry, please, can I snap the question? Sorry. Sorry, sir. I'm good, sir. Thank you.
So period of production. Period of production. Period of production. Or production cycle. Because the question can come up with synonyms. Don't say you've not seen it before. And when you have to calculate these now, what are you going to do? The formula is what?
Average work in progress divided by cost of sales. Multiplied by
Yes, divided
65
by cost.
days.
Very good. Yes. No cost of sales.
Yes.
Multiplied by 365 days. 65 days. So based on the question, what are the variables? Work in progress.
448, 128.
So 448.
448.
No. 4480.
448.
448, 128.
128.
Divide by what?
Divide by what?
5,000.
5 million. 5 million 272 128.
The same question from the
same.
So 31 days.
So 31 days.
So can you see my screen, please?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
So the next thing we have to do is what?
No, sir.
We have to compute what? Finished goods. The finished goods turnover, period of turnover in terms of finished goods. Period of turnover in terms of finished goods. So we can have finished goods turnover. Finished goods turnover. Our formula will be what? Madam Juliet, are you in this class?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the formula will be what?
Average finished goods. All over cost of sales per annum.
Average finished goods divided by cost of sales. Multiplied by
365.
Now, from the question, your average finished goods is what?
1.567.
Let's have it as 1,567.
89.
Divided by what? Your cost of sales on the question. So, cost of sales, that is 5272.
128.
You multiply that by 365, you have what? The days will be what? Are you with your calculators?
One 109 days.
109 days.
109 days.
All right, fine.
It's approximate.
What else can we compute here?
Receivable collection. Receivable collection.
All right, receivable collection period or credit period given to customers, whichever can suffice. So we have it as can have it as receivable collection period. Receivable collection period or credit period given to customers. So you must be able to interpret each of these words. So
But that's the average debtors collection period.
that you words to yourself. I'm saying you can use Igbo to interpret each of these words to yourself. You can use Yoruba to interpret each of these words to yourself. You can use Hausa to interpret them to yourself so that you will not cram, so that it will be part of you. So once you speak your language to it, it will be part of you. Yes, speak your language to it. Yes. So the understanding will come. And if you don't know how to speak your language, you make do of the English language. Yes. You know, some people don't know how to speak their dialects. They are these days century people. Yes. So there is the language used to help. If you can speak your language, used to help. So now, receivable collection period, we now have it as what? Our formula will be what? So the trade receivable, right? Or what is the formula we have, sir?
Trade
We said average debtors. You can also make it trade receivables, whichever. Average debtors divided by what?
Sales.
Yes, let's say annual sales, because I didn't say anything like credit sales there. Annual sales multiply by what? 365 days.
I'm getting this thing.
So based on the question, our debtors, the trade receivable will be what? Because they are the debtors. We have money to get from them.
1.25.
So it is 1,425,600. The annual sales is what?
The annual sales is what?
5,802,400. 90 days.
When you add all these, it will give you the number of days for you to hold your stock and for you to collect your money from your customers. When you add all these, because all these are what? They are current asset items. So when you add, the outcome will be what?
411.
We have it as 411, and we can tag it as what? Total value of stock. Total value of stock holding period. Of stock holding period. And what? And credits collection period. Credit collection period. Now, what else are we to look out for? The trade payables.
Trade payables.
And this will be what? Your credits period from suppliers. Your credit period from suppliers, or your average creditors payments period. Creditors payment period. So for us to solve this, what are we going to do?
Average trade payable is 604,000. Credit period. Or credit collection period.
Trade payables. Divide by what? When you have payables, what is bringing about payables is your purchase. Your purchase is bringing about what? Payables. Your annual purchase. And you purchase and you don't pay immediately to lead to payables. And you multiply by what? 365 days. So you have it as what? At this point, it will be what? The trade payables is what? 604,800 divided by your annual purchase is what?
1,745,000.
$1,745,000. this, multiply by 365 days. And this will give us what?
126 days.
27 days.
127.
127.
What will happen to this value of 127?
Subtract.
Subtract it from 441. 411.
You get 318.
When we subtract it, get 318. When we subtract it, you say we'll get what?
284.
285. 286.
284.
284.
Okay. Two, 8, 4. So your cash operating cycle is what?
284.
284 days.
The cash operating cycle is 284 days.
My screen has been blank for over 10 minutes. I can't see the screen again.
Is your network, man? So let me share the screen. Maybe it will come up. Can you see the screen now?
No, it has not come up. Don't worry. Just go on. Later we'll go over it again.
All right. So we should have an assignment now.
Please let that your assignment be straight. This one we solved now. We didn't find any difficult in getting the figures. They were straightforward. These complicated ones now.
No, the assignment should not be straightforward.
Please give us complicated though. How will help us? Maybe we don't understand.
Hey, it's
Give
assignment.
us simple one, no.
Exam hall.
No,
This one I've not
not simple, please, sir.
Yeah,
Please give us milk.
the point is the point is this. This is the scenario. You are in the hospital and you are telling the doctor what to do. It's not possible now. Because I would not want you to come back to me again as a patient. So I should know the right prescription to give. So irrespective of the suggestion, I will still work according to the leading, because it's better we'll crack the nuts now than going to the hall to crack the nuts. So that is the concept. That is the concept. If I
Hello, Mr. Tokwe. Hello, sir. Mr. Tokwe, can you hear me?
sir, I'm coming.
Yes, last diet, I think this working capital management also came out. And that's, I think, that other number 1 or number 2. I can't remember the actual number of that question. I would like us to, maybe in the course of teaching this topic. I would like us to maybe look at that question, please, so that we can also, learn. Though I've gotten a more picture of what I've done so far, but then that question seems to be very confusing. So I would like us to maybe direct us on how we can possibly solve that question, please. November diet on financial management. Yes, sir. Thank you.